and go.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, it's the boys back for Bump and Bruises podcast, a wrestling podcast by wrestling fans for wrestling fans. I'm Marcos at the Sunset Kid 56, of course, joined again by Lock Stallion, the creative side of this endeavor, and Shane, the other side of this endeavor. Guys, how you guys been? Talk to me. Derek, how have you been since the last time we potted?
I've been pretty good, just going through the motions of life and whatnot, still getting ready for WrestleMania, as y'all know, just chilling, man.
That sounds depressing. It's like just going through the motions, man. You gotta say we're growing. You gotta say we're growing, we're living, and we chilling.
Whew. It's the getting ready for WrestleMania that's depressing.
I got you. I heard you're gonna represent us, as me and Shane will be there in spirit. Because the way my pockets are set up. Actually, no, I come back from a cruise like 3 days before, so I can't even. I was trying to make it happen, but then I'm like, nah.
I feel like it's too close to where I am for me not to go. You know what I'm saying?
I mean, I'm horrible at geography, so I don't know how far things are. I don't
12 hours, 12-hour drive.
Are you driving there? Man, you're a baller.
No, hell no.
Oh, no. Okay.
I know Vegas is over there.
Wait, above Lock Stallion? Is that what?
It's over there for me.
I gotta go towards
further west than I've ever been
to get there.
Okay. What about you, Shane? How's things with you?
Busy week, but I was able to get in on the minor deal of the moment, getting one of the replica WWE title belts that everybody said it's only a commemorative, it's not worth getting. Well, you were partially right. It was a commemorative. We took that chance. We knew it might be, but Fanatics took care of it, gave us the replica for the cost of the commemorative. It should be here any moment now. Got a nice little 50% coupon for my trouble of having to reach out to them and deal with all this.
That's what's up. So, guys, boys and girls, scheming works. Okay, remember that. Scheming works. All right, so let's quickly get right into it. So tell us, Shane, what happened SmackDown, which is of our wrestling week, the first show.
SmackDown this week, I was hoping for a little bit more. I think this is the first time the entire international tour that we've had a crowd not buzz completely. They started off hot. I think some of the match choices lowered it down a little bit, but kicked off exactly the way that you want. Randy comes out, everybody's singing right along, has that great feel. KO interrupts. We get that setup. We continue that, but there just wasn't a whole lot of depth to it. It's exactly what you expect, but they didn't throw hands. There was no violence. I need to see more when we're, 2 weeks out, 3 weeks out. Get me excited.
I believe today it's like day 25. I think they still kind of like building the outer card. I know that KO versus Randy is penciled in. They're trying to get us there slow but steady. You know what I mean? Because I think a lot of the things that they're trying to do, it's not fully set. They're trying to see where they could mix and match the feuds. It might be a multi-man match. Who knows? They might have Sami Zayn, who's currently doesn't have a spot on WrestleMania, might be a part of this. Who knows? Hopefully they bring him in. And then we get Drew and Shinsuke versus Jimmy and Damian. So I know this might be a tag match that seems like it was seemingly thrown together, but I think it's all the principal players that are going to be a part. What I assume is going to be a multi-man IC title match or US title match. Like I think everybody has a claim here, and I think for this particular set of people, it works because you further certain dynamics, like you further the feud between Drew and Damian, which they're gonna probably have a one-on-one match, but it also sprinkles salt on the wound of the Shinsuke, Jimmy, who are still very involved in the U.S. title match, although not officially because they weren't involved in the segment that actually brought up all the title match participants, but it directly led us into the Braun versus Jacob match, which saw everybody and their mother get involved. And I think honestly the United States title is going to probably, it makes more sense to be defended in a multi-man match, or if not, give us a good old-fashioned tag match, which might not be what anybody wants, but it's like we got to get all these guys on the card.
Yeah.
And if some of them might not shine in a multi-man match, at least give us a tag match that can kind of lead us and continue putting the shine on what people call the mid-card titles in the future, because it's starting to seem that WWE pushes these titles more on their weekly TV than they do their world titles, which is more like on a pay-per-view, which is like the champion doesn't really defend it week in, week out. They just get involved in a feud, and it kind of like waits until that feud climaxes in a match in a pay-per-view. Whereas like the titles itself, the IC title, is something that they could do like on a week-to-week basis. All right, so yeah, the multi-man match, like I think that's probably the best way to go. Honestly, because WWE, again, like I was saying earlier, they have been more focused on the mid-card titles weekly as opposed to the main title, which is being booked long-term, which I think makes sense. That's why the IC title was originally created, because it's called the workers belt. Those guys defended on house shows. Those guys used to defend it weekly on TV. It's one of those things that WWE is bringing back, and it goes along with the lines of what people said about Triple H, that he's an old school guy. He's booking this like the AWA back in the day, where you had your main guy, your main champion, go ahead and perform monthly were in the paid towns, and then the weekly TVs he had the other titles up for grabs. And I think it's a good step. And then what I like to call Shane's favorite segment. Shane, explain what happened. What happened with Zelina? Can you explain? Go down the line and try to be as impartial as you can, please.
Well, I don't think I realized that Zelina had been moved to SmackDown during the transfer window. But we got Zelina and Piper Niven, and overall the match wasn't bad. It just wasn't good. And this was the first time on the international tour, which we've talked about week in and week out, about how hot the crowd has been, how much a hot crowd pulls you into it, gets you excited for it. This was the first time the entire tour that the crowd was nearly silent. There were long stretches of this match where you could hear everything happening in the ring, and it really takes away from the excitement of the match when that crowd isn't involved. And it's kind of sad to see, because you had two people that were putting on a pretty decent match, but for whatever reason, the investment wasn't there. And I think part of that is having Zelina move over, and there's no connection with.
And wasn't
Piper
this
Niven.
in Glasgow? Wasn't this in Glasgow or no? Piper is from there. That's surprising.
And that's part of it too. And it makes sense why she's there, but there's not a lot of storytelling as to why Zelina is there, other than Zelina has moved and now she's got to do something.
Well, I think it's ultimately setting up the claim that she wants to take the belt off of Chelsea Green, and as is before, like in video games, you got to go through the underboss to get to the top boss. But I'm trying to remember, like, did Piper even win or she lose?
Piper won.
Yeah.
Oh, so yeah, that kind of kills Selena's push.
Yeah, Zelina comes in. If she's got to go through the underboss, maybe they're building it up. You gotta hit continue a couple times. But very interesting choices. I'm not sure I would have gone the same route.
Luckily, they went with Liv versus Jade, which was a good match. It's one of those matches that you forget that Jade hasn't had a lot of singles matches in WWE.
Yeah.
And I feel like this might have been her first televised one against somebody of that caliber. And, but of course it was the smosh finish, because at the end, Naomi comes out and pretty much cost Jade the match, which kind of keeps Liv squeaky clean. But then you have a reason as to why the Jade versus Naomi is going to probably have a spot in the WrestleMania card. I think at this point it deserves this. Number one, it's a multi-month feud, and at this point it was a climax of a storyline, so they can't just give us this match to like close out like SmackDown. Or do you think it does have a case to do that? What do you think? And I'm talking WrestleMania weekend. So do you put this on the pay-per-view or do you put it to quote unquote main event SmackDown?
I
So
think
for me,
if this is on the Mania card, I think it's a show opener.
Okay.
Not as in opening Mania. This is a pre-show, I should say.
Okay.
but they don't do pre-shows anymore.
Yeah,
There's no pre-show matches.
and I think that WWE is much subscribed to the formula of having a hot match open. So I think it might be mixed in there. And then it's like if they don't give it enough time, but like Derek, do you put this on SmackDown or do you put this on the main card?
I mean, I would put it night one.
Mhm.
I definitely say it can open the show, just like
Really?
Rhea did. Rhea opened the show.
Yeah, but it was for a belt.
Mania.
It was for a belt.
But does it always have to be for a belt?
Yeah, because that's how
open the show.
Bro, if Brock Lesnar can open up the show with Seth, that to me, the top spot and the main event are like the go-to, because it's like, think about it. You don't go in and stumble upon the gate. I'm not saying that this is not going to be a great match. I'm just saying that you got to surprise them. I wouldn't have them opening the show. I would have them maybe follow up the opening match. Like this is definitely, because you got to think about, like, although Naomi's a great hand, she can wrestle. Jade there's still some question marks of how good she is in the ring. I'm not saying she isn't great because she is a freak athlete, but she's still a little green. And green in terms of WWE standards, she'll probably be a veteran in AEW. No, that was not AEW hate. It's just the fact that if you take the combined roster experience with the AEW women's division at the time Jade was there compared to the WWE division right now, it's night and day. Think about the people that Naomi herself, she's been in the business at this point like 12 years wrestling. She was probably been in the business for 16 on TV. You got to think about that, Bianca Belair, who's like a young OG. She hasn't been there long, but she's amazing in the ring. You got Liv Morgan, who's been a great hand and now a main event player for the past like 8 years. I remember they did a whole WWE documentary when they were showing that she was from Jersey and all this, and how she was happy just to be on the card. And now she's like a main eventer. Like, think about all the individuals that are there. There's nobody that just came from the indies. These people have been in WWE and wrestling WWE style for quite some time. Jade is coming in at the ladder. Like, yes, she was at a main event level in AEW, but in AEW, that was a different beast because they were just feeding her run. You could count on one hand how many veterans and proven talent she wrestled. And arguably the biggest match that they had planned for her was left on the table because of the timing of things. Like, Mercedes, which might have been a reactionary signing by AEW after they lost somebody like Jade, or maybe that was in the plan anyway. But I think this is the first introduction of Jade as a singles wrestler. I think you place it appropriately on the card, and so that way the crowd will still be into it, and they won't start like going into it. And it's crucial. Think about this: if you put this close to the main event, then people are going to be like antsy, like, come on. That's when the beach balls start coming out. That's when the weird chants start coming out. If you put the second or third, people are going to still be off the high of the opening match, which I predict is going to be it's going to be for a championship, or it's going to have to be like a proven match, like KO versus Randy. Like, you got to have somebody that the crowd is on it, like immediately. Like, and I know you said that Rhea opened up WrestleMania, and that was in Philly last year.
Mm-hmm.
But you got to also remember that was a hot feud, and it was for the belt. So
for the belt, and with a live music intro with
correct.
the, at the time and arguably still, the hottest women's wrestler in the business.
Yeah, and we're not talking about it in a pervy way. We're talking about she's money. She's money on the mic. She's money in the ring. Like I've never seen Bean Goff being so much in. And
when we referring to hottest, not looks, but in terms of bookability, in terms of money making.
And then we actually have the next segment. It moves on to Street Profits versus Los Gatos, which was a good match. You got to think about it. It goes what we said in our first episode, that SmackDown, they're building their tag team division to be solely about the belts. It's not about side feuds. It's about the belts. There's no friends. There's no factions versus each other. It's like, whether you're good or bad, at the end of the day, everybody has their eyes on the prize. And like Los Garza and Pretty Deadly came out, who's going to get a tag team match this particular week on this upcoming SmackDown. It's kind of like they don't even care who has the belt. They're like, nah, we want this belt. Like, you know what I mean? And it's like, and it also helps that whoever is the champion at this particular point in time, furthers the feuds. Like if let's say right now in a situation, let's say the Street Profits lose the belts to like Pretty Deadly. Pretty Deadly immediately has a feud in play with DIY, or has a feud in play with Motor City Machine Guns, because those are guys, like those three teams have been involved in each other's matches going off for the better part of the year. And so, and then you got Legata, the Fantasma, Los Garza, who's been involved in everything Street Profit does. And then you got the Street Profits involved in everything because, you know, like they say, they want the smoke and they want those belts, which they have. Now, having the belts, it's not just like a celebration. It's like now they got the target on them. It's like, it's almost like a long-term booking, kind of how they do the 24/7 title. I don't know if you guys remember those matches, which is like, it doesn't matter what storyline. It's like, no. It revolves around who's the champ at that particular point in time. And I think this is good. And I think, you know, whether they give us, I don't know if they'll give us Money in the Bank type deal. I maybe a TLC, since this can turn into like a brutal feud. But I don't know. What do you guys think? What do you think? How is SmackDown excelling better than Raw in the tag team scene? And if you were the like creative on Raw, how would you mimic that? Whichever, or Derek, how do you feel about that?
Oh, I mean, what Raw needs to do, I mean, is copy and paste. Make these tag team matches about the title or about going for the title. Same thing that you know, a little fast forwarding, but same thing that kind of happened, you know, this week on Raw with the New Day and their little segment, their quick segment at that, saying that, you know, they want a tag team title shot at WrestleMania, but they haven't been moving towards the tag team title. All they've been doing is fighting with LWO, coming out talking to the crowd about, hey, we could have put Big E in the dirt, you know, but instead we just told them, hey, go home. That's where you've been at. Go stay there. So just copy and paste with what SmackDown's doing. I mean, the crowd's gonna love it because it's Raw, it's the flagship show. So
yeah, there's a difference between making the feud for the belts and throwing the belts in a feud. Like,
right.
Like if you think about LWO, like I'm glad that they kind of further themselves away from the New Day, because it felt like if the New Day were going to be the tag team champions, it would just get rolled into this feud instead of it like being about the belts. It's like, yeah. So what do you think? What would you do? Do you think that SmackDown is hitting on all cylinders in the tag team division, Shane, or do you think how would you fix the Raw division, or you see that they're going down a certain path?
I'm surprised he didn't say it, and I'll say the thing that he didn't say. Give the belts to the New Day. That's how you fix. That's the first step to fixing that division. Give the belts to the New Day. It should have been done a month ago, 2 months ago. They should have immediately, as soon as they turned, they should have been in that title picture. They should, honestly, I personally think they immediately should have gone over the Viking Raiders and set up something, because they're money. the amount that people react to them. If you go and take a look at Xavier Woods / Austin Creed's Twitter post, he went to a little WWE side piece. It wasn't actually WWE, but went to this little wrestling concert, and fans were turning away from the stage, completely ignoring what was going on, staring at him, flicking him off. That is the heat that they have at the moment. That is drawing power for days, for months.
Okay,
And
playing devil's advocate, how do you do this without sacrificing the War Raiders or the Viking Raiders?
they're New Day are heels. Cheat to win.
Okay.
Yeah.
They cheat, they win, they do what they need to do to get the titles, they get it back. War Raiders can chase for a bit, or you can immediately have LWO say, we're going to jump in. You can do a triple threat and have everybody involved. All those teams are the experience that all of them bring, and the talent level that they all have can easily do a triple threat. That would be a fantastic match. And seeing those different styles where you get the War Raiders with their size and their strength, and then you take the New Day where you have the athleticism and the size, because Austin has beefed up. That man is big right now. And then you take the luchador style of the LWO. That would be awesome to see. I think you could. It's money.
So
Easy to book.
Like I do think that the Raw tag belt scene is stagnant, because I felt like the Creed brothers should have gotten it when they had like those gauntlet of matches, and then they come up short for no apparent reason other than like the War Raiders just pulled it off, and they haven't had a return match, and it feels like they've been like, oh, okay, cool, let's just involve ourselves in a mid-card women's title feud and backstage segment with Chad Gable. Outside of that, it's like the Raw belt situation. It's like one team has it. That team doesn't really appear every week, which is weird. Like they're a European-based team, I believe, so they should be featured. And were they even on Raw the last couple weeks?
I don't think they have been. And
No.
I think that's the difference in between the two divisions right now, and what we're really seeing, where it seems like everything is an investment in the belts when we're talking about SmackDown, and then when we're talking about Raw, to me, it seems like the tag team division is the New Day's turn. And right now it's the New Day with LWO. But like you said, the Creed brothers, they should have taken the belts. It felt like everything was building towards that. Another fantastic group, incredible athleticism. I think that Julius has immense potential. They obviously they're both super talented, but I think he has almost uncapped potential. And I would have loved to have seen that. Give it to someone right now, because what they're doing with the War Raiders, where they're setting up these long feuds and then they go over, but then they don't do anything besides that. It doesn't seem like they're getting a lot of crowd investment. It doesn't seem like they're really over right now. And maybe I'm misreading that, but that's the feel.
That's boring.
So that
Okay.
so
Yeah.
to end on SmackDown, the major feuds. I don't know if you guys noticed, there's two major feuds that cross over shows, which is the Cody John Cena, and then there's the CM Punk, Roman Reigns, and Seth. What is weird is that you don't see the same crossover with the Jey Uso situation. It's kind of like the CM Punk, Roman Reigns, and Seth Rollins feud has taken that spot. It's like these two angles like go on each show. Like that's just what happens. So what do you think about that segment? I think the segment stole the show. It was actually the biggest star power segment that they had that entire day in terms of like crowd engagement. I like the fact that CM Punk was playing very coy. He was like being funny and kind of like painting the situation as in Paul Heyman was helping him, set up Roman Reigns. And then it's like Roman Reigns bit on that particular angle, and then pretty much got his ass beat. But then Seth, I think this is a proper blood feud which means these guys, you could believe that they truly hate each other. We don't need any proof other than what we see so far. But I think, and you heard it here first, we talked about this in group chats and everything. I think this is going to see Seth and Paul Heyman walk out together when it's all said and done. What do you guys think?
Seth and Paul Heyman?
Yeah, I think that's what's going to happen. Because
I need you to tell me more.
Like this is why I think it's going to happen, because the whole Paul Heyman and CM Punk situation is too telegraphed.
Yeah,
and then we know that Paul is loyal to Roman. I think they could easily explain it without turning Paul into a mega heel. It could be like, you guys are more focused about making this about me than you guys feuding. I'm just going to remove myself from the situation. It appears that, Seth, out of all three of you guys, is more focused on becoming champion and moving on than you two. Because if you think about it, Seth, although CM Punk tossed both guys out, Seth was done with it. He was like, he gave them their receipts right then and there. You know what I mean? Like, he took out the tribal chief. He got his comeuppance on CM Punk. He was like ready to be done. Like that ladder match, he was like, focus on WrestleMania season. But then here we go. Roman is like, nah, son. And then CM Punk again pulling him back in. Like, I think you could like story line wise, you can make it seem that it's like, nah, bro, we're moving. We're gonna do this. This is the reason why this is happening. What do you guys think about that? Or you think I'm completely off base? And you can believe that.
I feel like you're off just a little bit, because with the Chamber, Seth still was going after Punk. Seth said, "You're not gonna get a main event at WrestleMania over my dead body," and hit him with a curb stomp, and proceeded to stand outside the cage and watch this man lose and yell and scream for this man to lose. So I feel like Seth hates Punk. So it's not over between them. This could be a Seth and Punk match, and it would still be killer. Just a in the cage, lockdown, just them. But Roman probably would still get involved because he hates Seth. So
do you think I'm kind of off base? You don't think Paul Heyman is going to factor in the feud, or it's too early to say that?
He will factor in the feud for sure. Him leaving with Seth
in this iteration, or you think he'll factor in? And let's say if Roman and CM Punk move on, and they make this a solo match.
It's hard to say, because what you said sounds great.
Okay,
Seth becoming a Paul Heyman guy is wild to me.
Yeah, because Seth was already like out of both guys. And again, I don't knock CM Punk and I don't knock Roman Reigns. These three guys are my top three favorites right now. But a focused Seth that literally hasn't had a mouthpiece his entire career, hasn't had a wise man to advise him. I think his skill sets are more deadly than Roman Reigns.
But he's like powerful people have his back.
No. If you think about it, when he was part of the Authority, would just have his back. But Seth was the one that was really like doing the thing. Like, he was just out there. Like, Triple H wasn't like, "Hey, I need you to focus on this," or "I need you to do this." I feel like character wise, Paul Heyman could be like, I'll advise you to do this, and let's do that. Let's avoid this situation. Kind of like, hey, drop the clothing, be serious, focus on a match. And like, I think out of all three men, he has the most natural gifts out of all of them. Like, he doesn't have the TV good looks as Roman, but he could definitely go better than Punk at this point. And Punk is a Hall of Famer.
Nah, Punk's old though. So yeah, I get it.
Yeah, so it's like, you know what I mean? Like Seth has been putting on the same match in the last 12 years. Injured or not.
Yeah.
He's literally, no disrespect to Jacob Fatu, he's all gas, no brakes. no matter what you put him in. And I think you giving him somebody, him making him a Paul Heyman guy, and giving him that killer run that you could go either way. And I think he'll make a great foil for Jey Uso, assuming Jey takes the belt. A Paul Heyman guy, Seth Rollins versus Jey. Come on now. And then you could eventually loop in Roman, because he could be like, it's like, I took this belt, I'm taking the, and then make it business. Like, he can end Jay's reign and be like, I'm doing this as not about you. It was like, if you were somebody else, I would have not even focused this. But the simple fact that you're Roman Reigns' blood, I have to take this from you, because my mission is to just destroy everything Roman built. And arguably, Jey Uso is a commodity that Roman built, whether he did it indirectly or directly. It doesn't matter. Like, Roman being who he was, having Jey turn on him made him the superstar that he is now. And then, and then you kind of like hot potato the belt. I don't know. That's just me. But that pretty much covers our SmackDown. And then, we didn't have any pay-per-views this weekend, so that immediately leads us to Raw.
I'm just going to jump in real quick and say I can't.
Yeah, go ahead.
I can't see it.
You can't?
No, I think I see Paul leaving with Punk, because Punk kind of forces him to, and Paul's
he owes him that favor.
What can I do? What this is the price
but
of the favor.
A favor, the favor can't be servitude.
Why not?
Yes, it can.
Because then it's like,
you're my wise man again. That's the favor cash in. I want you back. You got to come with me.
But it's like, he's already proven that Paul Heyman can have multiple clients. He did it before.
Yeah, but it hasn't been like how it was when he had one.
Yeah, when he was with Punk,
I was like,
Punk's guy.
Actually, when he was with Punk, he had Ted DiBiase's kid.
Yeah, but no one cared about that.
Yes, exactly.
But it wasn't like they were a faction.
Yes,
it was. He represented Punk, and he also represented Ted DiBiase kid. No, not Ted DiBiase kid. It was
I guess it could.
Mr. Perfect's son, not Ted DiBiase. I apologize. It was Mr. Perfect's son, who I forgot his wrestling name.
Alex something, right?
No. It was
Kurt.
It wasn't Kurt. They didn't give him the Henning last name. I know he tag teamed with Bo Dallas, where they started
killing me right now.
Yeah, but we'll figure that out. Like, they didn't intermingle. And the reason why is because they weren't a faction. It was just him representing. Although it was short lived, it's possible. Like,
let's be real about that. It was managing a title player and then a mid card guy.
Yeah,
managing two up here. I don't think it can be done.
I don't know. I think it can. I think you could be like, it would be more compelling if he's like, I need you to be my wise man. And then they leave it open-ended. And then it starts a conflict where Roman expects Paul to be there, but then Paul is with Punk like on Raw or something.
Yeah.
Or like, Punk needed me for something. I'm not going to be on SmackDown. And he was like, I expect you to be in my corner. Like, you're my wise man. Like, why am I dealing with this?
And then at the end, we get Heyman in a shark cage over the ring, battle for the services.
Oh, like Dom.
Exactly.
There you go.
But hold on, before we jump to Raw, thinking about the past and Paul Heyman, the Seth thing kind of does make sense. Because when Paul was with Punk, he had the Shield doing Punk's dirty work. Who was the leader of the Shield? To an extent, Seth.
Yeah.
Well, it wasn't.
What made them the Shield is
technically.
I mean, somebody lead. Somebody had it.
If you really want to think about who was the lead, it was Dean Ambrose.
It was Ambrose.
And,
he was the first one with the singles title.
Yeah, that's
But
how
he's
like
gone.
Roman
Moxley's gone.
and Seth were the tag team.
True,
And then,
but
you know,
I mean, I guess. Anyways, what I was saying was he was in Roman's ear and he was in Seth's ear back then because Moxley's gone. So Moxley can't even be a part of this whole thing.
and then if you think about it, Seth has gone on record saying recently, and if you can find this out, that it was Paul Heyman that pulled him aside and saved his NXT career. I don't know if you guys seen that story that's resurfaced where Seth was going to get fired from NXT, that Triple H was like, "Hey kid, I don't know what's going on with you, but you need to start taking this serious." And it was, even though he was a Dusty guy, Dusty was like, "Yeah," but then Paul Heyman was like, "Bro, relax," and said, "You got to play the game," which is ironic as hell. And like I'm trying to find it right now. Like I'm almost 100% that this is what happened. Hold on, let's triple check here.
Well, that's also there's a video out there that I've looked for. If someone knows where it is, please send it, comment, do whatever. There's a video where Punk talks about a young kid approaching him after a Ring of Honor show when Punk was already in the WWE, getting ready to starting to jump off. And this kid from Ring of Honor came in and was like, "Hey, I'd really love to get the chance to train with you. And, how could we set that up?" And Punk was like, "Yeah, we can probably do that. This is how much it'll cost." And the kid was like, "Well, I don't have any money." And he's like, "Well, I'll see you later. When you get some money, give me a call." And that kid was Rollins.
That's pretty cool. Like there's a lot of history there because if you think about pure indies, if the WWE had the Ring of Honor catalog, they could show you why the Punk Seth feud makes sense. It's not like they just hate each other in WWE. They're the same exact guy. They were each other, past and present. CM Punk got signed when he was the ROH champ. Seth got signed when he was the ROH champ. And WWE allowed both of them to transition out of the company before they went to the WWE. Both of them had abundance of ego that kind of led to them kind of rubbing Triple H and a lot of the veterans that were the top guys then the wrong way. You can look it up how like the inclusion of CM Punk in the Survivor Series match with DX was kind of like Triple H had to be convinced because he didn't see anything special with CM Punk. And then again, you go back to Triple H having to speak to Seth and like, bro, you got to chill. It's kind of like they mirror each other. So it would make sense that at their peak, both guys would declare that they're Paul Heyman guys. If you think about it, Seth is in the same time frame of his run where CM Punk took on Paul Heyman, where they're both main event stars, where they're both kind of like not floundering, but they're not competing for the title picture always.
Right.
But then that one changes it. But that's all food for thought. Again, Bumps and Bruises is a wrestling podcast by fans for fans. So this is just my theory. I might be completely wrong. I don't have an insider information. I'm not part of WWE Creative. I don't know anybody in WWE Creative. I just, I'm a person that if I see something, I'll say something based on the history that we have. And this is more logical in terms of wrestling math than it was before. Because before, during the last, I think, decade when Vince was still in charge, he would just switch things up just to spite people. That's what I honestly felt like he was doing. Where like you think logically he's going one direction and then like, no, I'm not doing that. It's like, oh, okay.
Everything builds to Chad Gable being Kurt Angle's son, and then it's Jason Jordan.
Yeah, it's like Hornswoggle.
Damn.
You know what I mean?
That was
like that was supposed to be Dolph Ziggler, I think, or something like that, like something crazy. But Thank God it wasn't Dolph Ziggler, because you saw where Hornswoggle is now.
Hey, he's not in a bad spot.
He's not. He's
got
chilling. He's a legend. You know, I don't expect Hornswoggle to be in the WWE main roster right now. The guy's got to be in his late 40s. And you know, he had a hell of a run. I'm not saying he can't work, but it's like, would that man be backstage or something? He probably is, for all we know. He's a coach. But before we get a little long in the tooth in this pod, we got to talk about Raw. Shane, tell us what happened on Raw. Go ahead and spearhead that recap.
Biggest thing, what we want to see on Raw, time in and time out, what is bringing the money right now, we got Cena. Cena opens the show. Cena comes out. Personally, I'm loving this. He comes out. He says, look, you all hate everything about me right now, and I love the fact that you hate me. I'm going to ruin everything you all love. You know, years ago, when I first won the title, I changed it to the spinner belt. And when I win, I'm going to bring it back. And they showed a little montage of all the Big Show and I think Mark Henry and all these guys talking about how horrible and how ugly and how it was a toy, the spinner belt. And he says, I'm bringing it back when I win. Love it. Love it. 110%. Give me that. Give me that energy. Mm-hmm. He talked about how the crowd, which hot, this is what we need. This type of crowd is amazing. Absolutely. They're booing him the whole way in. They're cussing him out. They have to bleep. Then they cuss him out and they don't bleep. So that was a little weird. But they keep on going. And he says, look, you all did exactly what I said you all were going to do. I called out that kid last week for wanting to be like me. And what did you all do? You didn't support him. You turned him into a meme. You all are what's wrong with wrestling. I want to fix it. And you all hate on me for it. I love it.
He definitely came with the receipts. So what do you think about that segment, Derek?
Boy, it was hot fire. It was hot fire. I mean, he touched on everything. I love that he said, I'm gonna leave with the belt and y'all gonna have to go make a new toy. He's gonna be the last real champion, and that's gonna be it. He gonna delete Ric Flair from WWE history being a 16-time world champion.
Which is crazy that they didn't 17. Pop for that. They booed him for that. He's to the point that people are like, nah, leave Flair as the winningest champ.
Like, it's gonna be amazing. I can't wait to see it. I'm here for it every week. Every week. Let them come out. Let them come out 5 minutes. I don't even need that long. Let them talk for 5 minutes. You don't have to have Cody come out though, but just let them talk for 5 minutes.
But then we did get Cody coming out, and like I said last show, I'm gonna need to see some hands. Because
they're selling it. Yo, they're selling it
and not having to touch each other.
Yeah, like pause. Yeah, but it's like, bro, they're destroying right now. Like they're doing really good. So
my worry, and I do think they're doing an amazing job. Like the build for this so far has been fantastic, but I do worry that we're approaching territory that if we don't get some interaction, physical altercation interaction, that they're going to start to lose some of the crowd, especially when it comes back to the States.
I think that's when they're going to do it, when it comes back to the States.
And the crowds are so hot overseas that I think they can get away with it. And then you bring that back to the States and then it finally erupts and they throw hands 2 weeks before Mania. That could work. I do just worry that if they stretch it out too long, there's going to be some lull.
I also see, I don't know. Do you see The Rock coming back for these promos? Do you see The Rock doing anything? Or do you think The Rock, so you think he's going to still be involved? Because I haven't really mentioned The Rock at all.
I mean, he has to be involved. That's the whole reason we saw the heel turn of Cena, was because The Rock was there and he hit him with, the slit throat and whatever this means. So I think closer to Mania, because The Rock's busy.
Okay.
He's probably shooting Moana 3 right now, for all we know.
Well, live action Moana, and honestly, he's shooting.
Well, I mean, all right. So there we go then. I knew it was Moana related. If it ain't Fast and Furious related, it's one of the two. So
Tooth Fairy 2.
Hey, I'd watch it.
Tooth Fairy 2,
So-
more teeth.
So off the heels of this amazing promo, what did we get next? Derek, what came down the card?
Oh, so after that, after Cody came out, did that little thing, we got the Jey Uso surprise partner, which was obviously his brother, but also not obvious, and a surprise that it was his brother because they haven't tag team since
39.
closer to 39. I think a little after 39 they were still tag teaming, and then they split up. So that was great. We got that whole segment with A-Town Down Under. I want to say they picked up the win. They picked up the win.
With the 1D.
Came out.
With the 1D.
Yeah, with the 1D. Iconic move, from the Dudley Boys that they picked up. So we got that. Then we got Gunther coming out in normal fashion to jump Jey. Jey slipped. I wonder if it's the new mat.
No, I don't. I want to say, I want to double down on the fact that when we initially were watching it together,
Mhm.
I do believe it was storyline. I think the slip was storyline. What about you? What do you think, Derek? Shane.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't think that was a botch. I think it's playing into last week's, which was a botch. He clipped that rope, and not as bad as some previous folks have done it, but he acknowledged it and said, "Hey, I'm going to fix it." But instead of fixing it, he had another slip up, and I think it's very much storyline because shortly after we got a whole segment about it.
Yeah,
true.
When you think about it, it's kind of like, do I still got it? You got the young up and coming hot start versus the proven veteran, where the proven veteran is like, bro, like it's a fluke. That's the only reason you here. You know what I mean?
Is Gunther the veteran though?
I mean, in terms of successful in the WWE, yeah.
He's gotten a push. Okay. Touche.
Like, no, I mean, if you think about a Gunther when he was Walter, you could probably count on one hand how many major series he actually lost.
Oh yeah.
Like think about it. Like he's literally, I'd probably say that he's up there rivaling John Cena in terms of winning percentage.
No, yeah, they've pushed him as a powerhouse or as a monster like Lesnar. So it makes sense.
Yeah.
It makes sense.
So after that nice backstage segment and everything, the backstage segment happened later on. Then we had the title match. Lyra Valkyria versus Raquel Rodriguez. Lyra won, but then Raquel attacked, and then we saw Bayley make the save.
Mm-hmm.
So I think the best way for them to explain that is to push for Bayley to get the belt, or they have a tag match for the women's titles, and then at Mania or SmackDown, and have Bayley turn on her. Or is that too predictable?
It's predictable, but it's one of those two is probably going to happen. Bayley's known for switching it up and being a bad guy when it needs to be. So,
well, maybe Lyra turns on Bayley.
That would be refreshing.
Or saying like you're trying to help me because all you want is to try to take my title.
But Bayley as a bad guy is good. We love Bayley as a bad guy.
Well, we've seen Bayley as a bad guy, and I don't think arguably Raw needs any more heels on the women's side.
I mean, Raw is heel heavy on both sides of the card.
Yes.
Yeah. So think about it. Like you keep Bayley face, and then you give somebody that kind of has not been getting over with the crowd as a face, you make her a heel.
True.
Because the pop that she used to get in NXT is night and day compared to the pop she's getting now on Raw. I'm not saying that she's not doing great. It's just NXT played such a big role in developing her. And on Raw, I think that they've done that with other people that they're not showcasing her. Like for every Michin, there's a Lyra Valkyria. Where Michin, like I feel like she was organically made to be one of the top baby faces to challenge for the IC title, for the US title on the women's side.
Mhm.
And Lyra kind of like won the belt, and we didn't really see anybody chase her. And the one person that chased her is phase 2, and then she lost, and it was kind of like, oh, okay, I'm not going to be involved anymore, which is a shame. It's like you can't even make this a multi-person match, because there's no other contenders for this belt outside of like 2 other heels. So you got to make a choice here, because although Chelsea Green is doing great things with the belt, even if she's not defending it every week, she's amazing with anything she does. Like Lyra, I feel like she's floundering at this particular point, which sucks because she's good in the ring. And they're not even giving her time to develop her character. She kind of like is just there. But hopefully, we get some movement, because WrestleMania is always a good time, because either these feuds get pushed forward and get the momentum that they need for us to be like, oh, continue down the line to keep us through the summer, or sometimes it's kind of like, why is this on here? And that's my worry, that we're getting that. And then the very next segment, it's Bianca again comes out. No, excuse me. The Raw GM comes out.
Yeah. Oh, that part.
He comes out and says, I'm going to draw up a new contract. Just because Rhea signed her name on it doesn't mean that it's legally binding and all this stuff. And then he introduces Io Sky, the champ, and then immediately out comes Bianca Belair. And instead of being like, good, let's focus on this match, she's talking to Adam, and it's like, hey, make sure that match, it's 1-on-1, because I won what is it? I won money in the elimination chamber.
The box.
And it's like, hey, it's all good. I won elimination chamber, so just why does Rhea get to be on this? So like immediately off jump, I love that they're pushing that, they're making this like where Io Sky doesn't matter, and Io's immediately like offended. But before she lets her piece be known, here comes out Rhea, because as soon as you say say anybody's name on Raw, they appear. And you had her come out, and then again, it's like, I want my rematch. It's kind of like they're talking about the belt like if it's an object, like somebody doesn't hold it right now. And then, unlike before, like before the last couple of weeks, they kind of like push Io around until she goes screw it and takes both of them out. But then the twist on this side is they alternate. It's kind of like Io uses Bianca to like do offense on Rhea, and then uses Rhea to do offense on Bianca, and kind of left her leaving the smarter woman there. How do you guys think this feud is translating on TV? Do you still think that Io Sky is being disrespected, or they're proving that she won't be denied?
I personally think she's getting disrespected, but I kind of like how it's going. Because the little fights in between, it's not just really that one that we normally see is the contract signing. Somebody gets hit, somebody goes through the table, and then that's it. Like, this is continuing every week. So that part I like. I do like the fact, like I said, that she has to prove herself, because before that match ended, when she won the title, we knew it was Rhea and Bianca. That's what we wanted to see for 2 years at WrestleMania. So to me, yeah, like I like how it's going. I like the little bit of disrespect. Hopefully it is a triple threat.
Yep. I mean, we are getting the Rhea's rematch with Bianca as a special guest referee, which is weird, because it's like she personally has like invested into this match. Like,
call it down the middle.
Yeah, it's like, I know you don't want this person involved. You want to face this person, but yeah, we're gonna make you the ref. So
she was like, I don't know how to ref. He was like, you got a week to figure it out. I was like, oh shit. All right.
But I think that setup that they're pushing towards works. I have to agree. I think that they are definitely disrespecting Io, and Io is doing her best to say, no, wait a second, I'm still here. But what they did this week with that offense where they built off of each other, that's just the build to say, hey, this is what you're going to see when we do that triple threat match. And I'm here for it because that offense was great. Everything looked smooth, and to have it come about that quickly looked great. I think we're going to see Bianca as the ref next week. I think the whole I don't know how to ref is going to play into it. It's going to devolve. They're all going to fight, and then it has to be a triple threat. And at that point, Bianca can't say no because she's going to be like, screw it, you're right. Let's just fight.
Io's the middle child.
And she definitely is coming off as
or honestly, it could be a situation with Bianca, like Io bumps into Bianca and she goes for a finisher, and Bianca catches her and does, her finisher. And then Rhea goes, now you got to pin her. And then she's like, okay. And then Adam was like, what the hell did you do? She was like, I told you I didn't know how to ref. He's like, you can't involve yourself in a direct finish.
Tell that to Shawn Michaels.
Yeah. And then it's like, then you could have Rhea coming back as the champion, but then you got legitimate beef with Io. And then it's like, if you give if you get Rhea the belt back, then it's like, you don't know who wins at WrestleMania.
No.
Right. Because you gave Io, you're giving Io a tremendous, she's shown she's one of the MVPs. Like, think about this. This particular match revolves around 3 women that you could take to any company right now and make a division around them.
Yes.
And arguably, and this might be my hot take, I think Io is the more complete wrestler out of all 3, even with the fact that she can't cut a promo like anybody else because, her Japanese accent and everything.
Language barrier, yeah.
It's a language barrier, but she has all the top qualities. She has charisma that oozes through her character. She's amazing in the ring, and she never has a crappy match with no matter who you put her in. You can put her in the match with a wet mop, and she'll get 5-star match.
Which I think could arguably said about all 3 women right now.
Yeah.
And that's what makes this one of the coming into this Mania. We have more compelling storylines than we've had in a while. Like, there's been some bigger storylines recently, but to have this many that are compelling, it is big. It's nice.
In the internet chatter, people are talking about, last year's Mania was bigger, but was it? Was bigger?
It was only bigger because of the Rock thing. The Rock thing, and Cody was still trying to finish his story.
Cody finishing the story was bigger.
It wasn't. I understand the story was bigger, but they felt bigger because they wanted to make sure that people stayed glued. Because if they would have said, let's say The Rock was going to be involved or be in Roman Reigns' corner for night 2, then the ratings drop would have happened in night 1. You know what I mean? Right. Mm-hmm. But the fact that they had all the same players factor into the main event of each night, kind of tells you what they were going with.
And the tribal rules with, the just celebrity outpouring that came along with that was ridiculous.
Yeah.
Like, I can see them playing this straight, whereas The Rock is going to be in John Cena's corner. And I think at the very least that's going to happen. And I think somehow Travis Scott is going to be factored in as well, because then it doesn't make sense why drop merch, why make this go viral, why have why have The Rock talking about this on his media outlets and all this stuff. Mm-hmm. But I think I also have The Rock coming out and kind of maybe interacting with Roman on night 1, regardless of the finish. Kind of teasing like this is what we're gonna move ahead to. Because I think after Mania, The Rock and John Cena are kind of like you know what I want. You got this from here. And then The Rock will kind of move on and insert himself elsewhere.
Yeah.
And then kind of come back at the conclusion of it, where he's kind of celebrating, Cena as his champ or whatever. And then when Cody comes back, then The Rock will reinsert himself. But yeah, so we're kind of chugging along. And then two Raws in a row. We have Penta main eventing. 2 Raws in a row. That is dope.
Well, we can't skip the debut of the newest, hottest luchador, hotter than Penta, El Grande Americano, which had one of the best entrance packages ever put together.
Bro, I legit, I feel like I wish I actually had a package like that. Pause.
That entrance package that they put together, showing the long history of El Grande Americano, was fantastic. Now the internet rumors say that absolutely none of it can be verified, but it doesn't matter. It was too good not to just fall in love with.
First of all, you can tell it's all true because he's from the Gulf of America, bro. That 100%.
From the Gulf of America,
which to me is like, this is like, it didn't need it, but it made it so much better.
I saw it and I was like, oh no. And then they said it, which made it, I don't know if it was better or worse, but I'm like, well, here we are.
Yeah. And he had a great match versus Dragon Lee, and it showcased both athletes, and whoever that masked person is amazing. But I heard the internet saying that, you know what, you give Tyler Bate a 10, and they pretty much he has the same physique.
Absolutely.
As Chad Gable. Think about that.
I mean, Chad Gable was sick. He took
a
sick day.
He took a sick day. He wasn't there. Like, Derek, do you think Chad Gable was there? He was not.
He was there because he had a backstage segment, but he went to Adam Pearce and said, I'm too sick to compete.
So we
know it wasn't him.
You know, I believe things at face value. If the man says he was sick, and it's obviously another complete different person.
I mean, we all know it's Shorty G, bro. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like,
nah.
You know, we haven't seen Shorty G in how long?
You even said that.
Gotta love Shorty G.
Shorty G, best character ever. Best character ever.
So then we had Penta in the main event.
There we go.
Then we have Penta in the main event in a rock solid match. Of course, early in the show, Dom being Dom, encouraged by Liv, he tries to recruit Penta against, Finn's orders. And then he comes out, they kind of jump Braun to try to, sweeten the deal for Penta. Penta kind of like lost the match because of the interference. And then Dom gives him a chair and is like, bro, come on, do your thing. And, tries to get the Spanish going, like we're both Mexican brothers. And then, of course, Penta being Penta turns on him and goes, no. And then kind of like super kicks the chair and then kind of leaves. And then you see a disappointed Finn looking at Dom. And, number one, I'm always a fan of having Penta main event. I love the fact that Braun is defending that belt like Seth Rollins was defending the IC belt back when Brock Lesnar took it hostage. I don't know if you guys remember that. That was a thing. That was an amazing, like, Seth has held it down, and I feel like Braun is doing the same thing. And also, man, we get Dom. Dom is amazing, man. So what do you think happens here? Do you think the conclusion of the Judgment Day saga ends away from the belt, or is it going to be all around this belt?
I think there's a real good chance we get, if not a fatal 4-way with Braun, Penta, Dom, and Finn, we at least get a triple threat with Braun, Dom, and Finn for that IC. The reason that Penta wouldn't be included is if things line up and there's some brothers reuniting, that could be, I think I would prefer that, especially if the Raw champs are who I would like for them to be, and to see that match If they have to be a transitional champion for that to happen, I think that's a fantastic way to do it. But yeah, I think that's where we're going. I think Dom, Finn, Braun, possibly Penta, it is what we're going to see for that IC belt. I think Dom is going to end up with the IC title.
I want him to so bad.
It's if they keep him heel and he does it, he has been a little bit less of that instant heat because he's getting over. But if he wins that belt, I think it brings it right back, especially if he somehow screws Finn and Braun out of it and, pulls Eddie Guerrero and cheats to win. I think we could see that heat elevate once again. And if him and Liv are together and he's got that IC, I am 100% here for it.
Yeah. All right. What about you? What do you think, Derek?
I don't think Dom will be in the match personally. I feel like that's going to conflict with Finn. If Finn is still in the Judgment Day at this time, because it could switch. Because we have been seeing that Demon Finn logo pop up. I don't think we did on this Raw, but normally we do see it. So I could definitely see Braun, Penta, and Finn with maybe not Dom, Penta, Braun, and Finn in that match with maybe Dom coming in and taking out Penta because it's a no DQ match because it's a triple threat. And then maybe Finn taking the win.
Okay, I can see that. Either way, I believe, there was a strong angle to end the show. I can't wait until next Monday. And I believe next Monday they're still international. So we still get a day.
An early show.
A daytime show, which honestly opens up my Mondays. Sometimes it's boring. Right? Sometimes I just go take a nap or something, or let the missus just watch whatever she wants to watch. But yeah, so to round out this episode, let's quickly go over what happened with NXT last night. So NXT didn't have a major show. They weren't from MSG, but they did feature Stephanie Van Court, who actually defended both belts, which is amazing. I think they're going that route. She opened up the show defending her NXT title, and then she defended her North American title in the main event. And she's doing it. They're doing this whole, will she survive? And she has. She's proven that she can carry both belts, and hopefully this continues. And it's not something that was just for the time frame. I know in previous times when NXT had a double champion, and it happened twice before, once in women's and once in men's. The women, of course, was
Mandy
forgot
Rose.
her name. It was Mandy Rose.
It was Mandy.
They
They didn't even name drop because it was actually a combination of belts. If you think about it, it wasn't two separate belts. It was when the belts united.
It was before that, though. I mean, it was still two separate belts when she won them.
Yeah.
But they don't call her. Mandy was the first. They're calling, now the woman that we have now, the first double women's
But some
champ
respect to her name is Stephanie Van Court.
Hey,
yeah.
I'm trying to get there.
Trying to get there. But then we also have crazy interaction because the Motor City Machine Guns, who traveled across the world to appear on NXT,
yes,
who are probably going to travel back to appear on SmackDown. I really hope that they're not on SmackDown, but if they are, you're going to know that they have passport miles on there. You know what I mean? And then you go, all of a sudden we have Javon Evans, who's putting together a show. Javon Evans basically faced Lexis King, but what the story of the matter is him and Trick Williams are kind of at odds, but not like a feud. It's kind of like Trick is dog, you ain't got it. And Javon Evans, you're not ready. And Javon Evans is trying to give him his flowers. It's kind of bro, help me out. Kind of it has a lot of similarities between the Mello and Trick Williams.
Yep.
Except in reverse, where Trick Williams is dog, I don't want you to be my protege. I don't want Like I'm trying to be a champ, and then like I don't know what you're focused on, and then you had Javon Evans basically calling out Obafemi in that segment, and then after the match, he lost the match to Lexus King, but as like I said, you say a wrestler's name in WWE, they shall appear. Obafemi came out and laid poor Javon out, and nobody came to help him. And then when he actually spoke to Trick Williams, Trick is like, dog, like I don't even know why you talking to me. Like, leave me be, dog. I'm trying to be the champ myself, which is interesting because I think that's what we're gonna see. I think at a certain point we're gonna see Javon Evans as the champ, and Trick Williams is gonna try to take the belt off of him, or you're gonna see Javon Evans almost winning the belt and Trick Williams interfering and costing him the belt. And then we had what honestly right now the women's division in NXT is stacked, both figuratively and literally. And they had so many things happen. Like they had the tag team, Gigi Golan and Tatum Paxley. They're getting a TNA title shot, and then Jakira and Last Legend had submissions with it. They had a tag match. Gigi Dolan and Paxley win, which kind of silences that. But then you have other interactions. You have Ricky Starks talking to to the group that the chairman of the board is ahead of, the new North American champion. Shit, I forgot his name. Cody's boy from
Saints. Ricky
no,
Saints.
not Ricky Saint. It's a dude that they used to be like a perfect 10 that came back to NXT.
Spears.
Yeah, Spears is a champ, and he had an interesting interaction with Starks. Is like, I knew you. We go way back. He's like, how come you didn't reach out to me and try to be part of my faction? And Ricky Starks is kind of like, dog, I'm not here for this. I'm here to to make money, to be a champ, and kind of like, I like to see that feud because it's kind of like, hey now. And then they made the comparison of Ethan Page and Ricky Starks. It's like, he's worse than Ethan Page. And it's kind of like, they're like a wink, wink, nudge, nudge, like AEW guys. Like without saying AEW guys, like, you know what I mean? Like, I like that. And, again, like I said, you had Stephanie basically retain for the North American belt. She was going to get jumped. And then the person that came out to save her is none other than Jordan Grace.
Oh, yeah.
And then Jordan Grace helps her. And then, to end the show, Ava, which is The Rock's daughter, comes out. She's a GM, has an impromptu meeting with the ladies roster. And it was like, listen, we gotta fix some things here. You guys are a while now. You're basically messing up the two matches that I had with people interfering. And they end the show with Stephanie and Jordan Grace kind of like eyeballing each other. It's like they're paying attention to what's being said, but they're like staring each other down, which means you're going to see Jordan Grace either challenge for the North American Women's title or for the NXT title. I think it's a good way to have Jordan Grace get the second belt and kind of have her move on. And then when Stephanie Vacour is ready to move up to the roster, then you get to run it back with Jordan Grace winning the main belt. Like for those of you that have not been watching NXT, I think NXT is a really good brand. You should check it out. Derek, told us in the group chat starting April 1st, they're going to all be broadcast on Netflix internationally. For those of you that are in the know and have a VPN, you can watch all three shows. And I believe that is awesome because you can rewind. Because my knock with NXT is once the show starts, you can't go back. So it's kind of like you gotta live off of maybe a rewatch later, or if they recap what happened earlier. But they've had a lot of good things happen that I generally miss because it's a very short, to the point show from 8 to 10. And you got to factor in the commercial.
Lot of show in that show.
It's like 88 minutes of programming, coupled with the rest is probably like ads. So to think about that, and that pretty much covers our wrestling week. So
I'm
what do you guys
jump in on two things that which were two backstage segments that we passed over. One was on Raw, where Jimmy sat down with Jey after the match and said, "Dude, get your head right. These botches are happening because you're not in the right headspace.
Yep.
You clipped the rope, you slipped, quit slipping up, get right." Then in a very weird move, which Marcos, you called out very quickly, I opened my mouth to say it. They're sitting on the steps. Jimmy takes 2 steps down, rounds the corner, and Gunther's right there. He was just listening to the whole thing, I guess.
It's
what y'all didn't see was they were talking as that conversation finished, brother to brother, right? It's like a quick glance and he double takes. So what I'm thinking is Gunther was walking by.
Okay, Gunther walked by. I can see that.
He shouldn't have made it.
Well, where is he walking though? Because that hallway, that was a door that was locked. It
looked locked. Maybe it was a locker room, but
it looked like
we get Jimmy
the slap heard around the world,
slapping the taste out of Gunther's mouth, like the equivalent of a Gunther chop to everyone else, directly in the face.
No, he hit that man like he was like Jimmy was a pimp. And Gunther owed him money. All right, let's just keep it a buck. All right, he slapped him, and then Gunther ain't do nothing. Like back when Gunther was scared, he was winning, but still scared of who he was fighting. He slapped the taste out of his mouth. It was terrible. I loved it.
But I liked that Gunther didn't do anything because Gunther had that look of like, all right, you caught me, but you're gonna pay for it.
Yeah.
He didn't have the scared look to it. He had okay, you're going to pay for that.
First of all, that whole segment with Gunther just being in the corner reminded me of that Beetlejuice meme. It was like, what you doing? It's like, nothing. Just hanging around.
I'm just hanging around.
Hanging around.
For those that don't know, we're not talking about the Beetlejuice, the movie or the cartoon.
You have to be at least a 90s baby or somebody that's on social media. It's like, nothing. Just hanging around.
Just hanging around. And then we got another little backstage segment. This was in NXT. And I thought they did this segment perfectly. Which the D'Angelo family, which has had some issues, Stax Lorenzo specifically seems to like kind of be coming for that upper echelon. And Stack said, look, you don't have to worry. You can always trust me. I'm here for you. Always. And that segment was, I thought, extremely well done. For the cliche, mafia sit-down dinner type thing, we got to talk. I thought they did a really good job with that.
That's pretty good. I saw that segment. I just wanted to highlight that the women are like tearing it up.
But they always are in NXT.
But it's like you got to think about it. There was like like last month, it was an Obafemi show and Trick Williams. But like these last 3 weeks, the women, like ever since they've had Jordan Grace and like the top women there, they're like it's all women all the time. Like the segments are crazy, and the matches are even better because it's like everybody's hungry, and the fact that they have 2 hours plus commercials, they're fighting for TV time. So everybody's like, it's like if they almost have a bet, like, yo, this match that we're about to have, it's gonna be crazy because we gotta tip the scales in our favor for when they start giving out more time later,
Which I think NXT is doing a really good job of. Out of all of these shows right now, I think they have the most solid show top to bottom, which everyone that comes out is doing exactly what you want them to be able to do and to prepare for that next level, which has been something in my opinion that hasn't been NXT. NXT, you would get a hot segment and then you would get, the bathroom break and then it would come back and, a couple segments later, then it's hot again. And then you've got a couple more, hey, I can look away. I can do something else. But this is the last few weeks. They've done a really good job of making every segment matter.
Yeah. And it's like, and it's not just leading up like to a stand and deliver. And honestly, we didn't even have those matches set.
Yeah.
Like I think they're gonna be setting them in like next week going forward. Like it wasn't like telegraph like Trick versus Carmelo and all that stuff that happened last year. I think it's like they're just like they could go anywhere. Like they're doing more than certain programming is in backstage segment than people are doing with matches.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like they're setting up the feud as to why Ricky Saint is gonna feud with this person, as to why D'Angelo family is gonna devolve. It's like, yeah, I might not wrestle this week, but you're gonna definitely see storyline get pushed forward. Whereas sometimes, incredibly, in the main roster, they have more time. They don't use that time well. Sometimes,
yeah, I agree.
like not everybody's a magician like Karrion Kross who could further a storyline by just showing up backstage. You know what I mean?
Right, just standing in the background.
Yeah, and it's like, but hey, shout outs to him. He was at the benefit show for Chris Bay.
Yep.
Representing. It was amazing. If you guys, we're gonna probably end on this. If you guys have not seen that video segment when Chris Bay made the entrance, is amazing. Go check it out. It's one of the most feel good things in wrestling right now. I really hope that his recovery continues. I don't necessarily want to see him in the ring, but I wanted to see him in a point that he could choose to go to the ring if he feels like it. You know what I mean? Like it's amazing. Like, it's a miracle that he's even doing what he's doing now. But with that being said, this has been another episode 4 in our season 1 of Bumps and Bruises. This was a little bit longer than usual. We had some interruptions. We kind of jumped around, but as you can see, it's a podcast run by wrestling fans for wrestling fans. I hope you guys like it. Again, Derek, tell them where they can find you.
I don't need no follows. Go follow the podcast at Bumps, the letter N, Bruises Pod on Instagram. Go blow that page up. Don't forget to like and subscribe on YouTube and drop a comment. Tell us which part of this podcast was your favorite. Tell us what we missed. Tell us what WrestleMania matches you want to see and what you don't want to see.
And to piggyback off that, coming soon to your Apple Podcast and to Spotify, you'll be able to find us there as well.
Awesome. Amazing. So, Shane, where can they find you, sir?
At Drizzen13 on Twitter, at Drizzen on Instagram. But like he said, come follow us, Bumps in Bruises, and come subscribe on that YouTube, and soon on Apple and Spotify as well.
So there it is. You know who I am. I'm at the Sunset Kid 56. I am on this podcast. Remember, follow us on Bumps and Bruises on Instagram, and I assume a Twitter account is coming at some point, or no?
Oh yes. We're gonna get that going too.
And I'm on other podcasts too. You can find me. I'm not hard to find. Thank you guys, and we'll see you next week when we recap the wrestling week. Until then, I guess it's peace.